When I signed up to VRBO, I was number 12 for the town of Joshua Tree. And it was quite some time before that number reached 100. And I remember pretty well when it did reach 100, we all thought, oh no, we got to stop this. We got to put the brakes on. This is enough.
How does somebody who doesn't even live here have 40 short-term rentals? Because of lack of oversight, lack of regulation, lack of forward thinking, lack of a long-term plan.
In the 20 years that I've been operating a vacation rental, I've seen the model change from mom and pop local operators to a full-scale industry.
I stumbled upon a corporation out of Chicago that owns 100 Airbnbs in Joshua Tree, 100. I don't understand how we have these neighborhoods that are zoned residential that are full commercial properties at this juncture. I don't get it, it's weird.
There's no limits, they can do whatever they want, and now the costs of that are starting to be felt in the business community. Right now we're hitting the wall, there's not enough, not everyone can succeed with the amount of workforce there is here. We're all competing for the same people, and it's stymieing new businesses, and I'm afraid a lot of businesses are not gonna make it, they're not gonna be able to do it. It just makes running a business really hard.
Our landlord is selling our property. Having people come in and look at the house that I've been living at for the past couple years is pretty annoying. I don't recognize any of the people coming in. They all look like investors. They definitely want to Airbnb it, and it just doesn't seem fair.
Some of my employees have had their houses bought out from underneath them to become short-term rentals, some of them illegal short-term rentals.
I have one full-time employee who is engaged, pregnant, and has been trying to find housing for her and her fiance for 6 months now.
What we really need here is a bigger work pool, and what we need to get that is housing. I have several employees right now who are in complete danger of losing the housing they have, and I have several others who've recently lost long-term rentals that have been sold and are becoming vacation rentals. One of my cooks right now is living out of a van.
People can't find housing. There are many families that are homeless that contact us. They're living in cars or they're living in abandoned buildings, and they don't want to be found because they have children, and they're afraid that Child Protective Services or someone's going to come in and remove the children from them. Although it's not illegal to be homeless with children, eventually it does become an issue because they can't properly take care of their child. They're homeless, but they're working.
A lot of these families are becoming homeless for their first time. The kids are scared, they have nowhere to go. They usually end up either doubled up or they take their life savings and buy an RV, live off the grid out in the middle of the desert with no water, no utilities, having to walk 5 or 6 miles to get their kids to the bus stop. It's really hard on these children.
We've taken in people who've become homeless and had no place to go because of what's happening. I'm a retired police officer on disability. My husband is also on disability. We're raising 3 granddaughters. Life is hard already, and it doesn't need to be harder because there's no place to live that you can afford to live that was there a couple of years ago.
How is there no thought about where the locals are going to live, where kids in this town who grew up in this town can't stay here because eventually you want to move out of your mom and dad's house.
It's not fair to the people who live here.
We manage properties throughout the Morongo Basin, from Landers to Pioneer Town to Morongo Valley, Joshua Tree, Yucca Valley, 29 Palms, and Wonder Valley. We are facing a point of market saturation. We're already seeing it. I've had 5 to 10 houses that have sold in the last 6 months, and a few of them are houses that recently sold, and now the owners are saying, hey, I paid $500,000 for this house, but I'm only making $2,000 a month in income after expenses. And occupancy rates are down. Some of them are only booking every other weekend. So that's going to be part of the market correction that's coming.
People are really suffering because of the STRs. 4 or 5 years ago, we used to have realtors and landlords calling us, asking us for families for their vacant units. Now there's no vacant units. We're getting 4 to 5 calls a day for people that are losing housing. They can't find housing. School teachers, administrators, people that are working in the community, nurses and stuff, that cannot find rentals as well.
What needs to happen is the county needs to put a stop on the Airbnbs here.
I think investor-owned short-term rentals are the exact spot that we need to jump in and put harsh limitations on it.
We really need to invest in affordable housing, and I'm not sure if that's duplexes, apartment buildings, tiny home communities. And I gotta tell you, I'm really frustrated with the TOT tax and how that goes into the general fund, and we have no infrastructure in this town. There are no public bathrooms in downtown Joshua Tree. For the last 2 or 3 winters, my landlord, Ethan Feltgus, and myself have been renting porta potties that we place in downtown just so the tourists have a place to pee. Why is that on me and not on the TOT tax?
Take responsibility for the consequences of what's happened with all the rampant development.
It's up to the county legally to do something. We can't regulate, we can't enforce code, and that's really what's happening here is we need code enforcement.
Stop doing it. Not only put a moratorium on it, a moratorium will stop it where it is, but you need to reverse this. You've destroyed our community, you're destroying the lives of these children, their parents, you're destroying the businesses. It's just a bad situation all the way around.
I'm not a statistic. I refuse to be a statistic, and I'll keep fighting as long as I can to not be a statistic. I don't want to be living out in the middle of the desert. I want to be able to pay my way, do what I can to enrich where I live, and help those around me to do the same.